Brought to you by...
There exists a certain fear at the heart of creation. The tension between ambition and integrity. Between desire for recognition and the risk of losing oneself. The act of bringing one's vision into the world can feel simultaneously exhilarating and terrifying, as unseen forces exert pressure on every choice, threatening to distort the work and compromise the creator's values. In this space, the mind becomes both a battlefield and a labyrinth, haunted by the potential cost of success and the psychological toll of surrendering one's soul, even in the pursuit of art. Here, the struggle is not simply external, but internal. A harrowing odyssey through doubt, obsession, and the fragile balance between self-preservation and artistic fidelity. Hello friends, and welcome back to ETF. Chris Esper's MICHAEL SOLACE functions not merely as a short film, but a psychological excavation into the mind of the creative individual under extreme duress. The film eschews conventional narrative arcs, and instead immerses viewers in a surreal, almost nightmarish odyssey, portraying the inner life of a screenwriter navigating the pressures of both his craft and an industry structured to commodify and control artistic expression. Through this lens, Esper elevates a story about a writer's struggle into a mediation on the nature of creativity, integrity, and personal sacrifice. At the film's center is Justin Thebault's powerful performance as MICHAEL SOLACE. Thebault's portrayal is striking in its psychological depth. He embodies a man caught between the intoxicating allure of professional validation and the existential terror of losing himself in the process. Each beat of his performance, hesitation, fear, longing, and resignation, feels grounded in the terrifyingly relatable reality for any artist, the constant negotiation between self-expression and survival. In MICHAEL, Thebault captures the precarious balance between genius and vulnerability, imbuing the character with a palpable tension that sustains the film's dreamlike atmosphere. The narrative itself is a psychological labyrinth, mirroring the internal logic of a mind in crisis. Esper deliberately places the audience within MICHAEL's perspective, which allows the mundane realities of screenwriting, meeting with producers, pitches, and endless revisions, to take on the quality of cosmic horror. The film channels the essence of Lovecraftian dread, not through monsters or gore, but through the oppressive weight of forces beyond the protagonist's control. In this case, the cosmic entities are gatekeepers of the film industry, executives, financiers, and production companies, who hold the fate of MICHAEL's creative output in their hands. Their power is not malevolent in a human sense. It is systemic, structural, and indifferent, a force that treats the artist as both a resource and a commodity. Esper's approach recalls John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness, particularly in the way he blurs the boundary between subjective and objective reality. The film uses a dreamlike visual and auditory language to translate MICHAEL's mental state into a cinematic experience. Subtle distortions of space, disorienting angles, and shifts in rhythm suggest a world where logic is unstable and outcomes are unpredictable. These formal elements reinforce the psychological theme that the creative mind, when confronted with external pressures, becomes both a battlefield and a hall of mirrors. Throughout the film, every choice, every negotiation, every interaction is amplified into a test of character and sanity. Thematically, the film is a meditation on the cost of artistic compromise. Michael's struggle to protect his script represents a universal fear among creators, that of selling one's soul for recognition, money, or career advancement. This fear is made manifest in the narrative's most harrowing sequences, where the act of getting picked up by a production entity becomes a literalized horror, twisting Michael's mind and sense of self. Esper's allegorical framing is precise. The terror is not in the act of creation itself, but in the potential corruption of that creation by those who do not share the artist's vision or ethics. In this sense, the film speaks to a dual psychological anxiety: the internal struggle of self-doubt and perfectionism, and the external pressures of a market-driven creative industry. One of the most striking elements of the film is its final imagery: the destruction of Michael's script, his life's work, by fire, is both devastating and liberating. On one level, it embodies loss and futility. On another, it represents a radical assertion of agency. Esper suggests that integrity may demand sacrifice, and sometimes the one way to preserve the self is to let go of the work itself. This climax cements the film's central ethical and psychological dilemma. Is it better to preserve one's soul or one's creation? In choosing the former, Michael performs an act of psychological resilience, resisting external pressure and reclaiming autonomy over his mind and artistry. Moreover, the film's attention to the psychological nuances of the creative process is remarkable. Screenwriters are often invisible in discussions about filmmaking, yet Esper chooses to foreground them, exploring the mental and emotional toll exacted by an industry that commodifies imagination. By externalizing Michael's fear into a surreal, horror-infused narrative, the film allows audiences to experience the anxiety, isolation, and obsession inherent to the writing process. It is both a love letter and a cautionary tale for those who live by their creativity. The interplay between aesthetic and psychological design is another layer worth noting. Esper's use of lighting, shadows, and visual distortion mirrors the instability of Michael's mental state. Scenes of surreal emptiness and objects that appear slightly off-kilter reinforce the sense that Michael is trapped in a world that mirrors his inner turmoil. These choices transform the short film from a simple narrative into a psychological experience, making the audience complicit in Michael's fear, his obsession, and ultimately his catharsis. I would say that Michael Solace transcends the boundaries of its short film format to become a profound exploration of the mind under creative duress. Through Thibault's exceptional performance, Esper's meticulous visual and narrative design, and the film's unwavering focus on the psychological realities of artistic labor, the film evokes dread, empathy, and reflection. The narrative operates on both literal and allegorical levels, illustrating the existential perils of creation and the courage required to maintain integrity in a system that values profit over soul. In the end, Michael Solace is a haunting reminder that sometimes the survival of the self is more important than the survival of one's work, and that there is a dark beauty in choosing agency over compromise. Well, friends, that's going to be all for now. If you're interested in this film, I urge you to check it out for yourself and formulate your own thoughts and opinions about it. I hope you come share those thoughts in the comments. Let me know if there are any movies that you would like to see discussed on this channel. I always love to hear from you guys, and I do my best to try and respond to everyone. Furthermore, if you like the video, I urge you to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you aren't already. I know many of you watching aren't yet subscribed, so help support the channel. Subscribe. If you'd like to go the extra mile and support the channel even more, we do have a Patreon. And if you sign up for our Rated R tier level, you can get yourself access to the ETF Digital Archive. We get a lot of compliments about the VHS collection that you guys see in the background of almost all of our videos. Well, we have been hard at work slowly digitizing that collection and creating a place where we can share it with all of you. Thanks to the help of the Plex platform, one of this channel's sponsors, we can now do just that. This is our way of doing our part to help preserve that gritty, nostalgic VHS look and feeling before it's gone forever. So as a special thank you for becoming a Rated R tier member, you will be added to our ETF Archive Plex server, so that you can stream our VHS collection from anywhere at any time. It's basically like having a streaming service for VHS, which I think is pretty cool. We also have a Mercari store, where you can go and get yourself a little piece of the ETF archive. While collecting VHS, Blu-rays, and DVDs over many years, we wind up with lots of duplicates, and we unfortunately can't store them all. So on our Mercari shop, we have those for sale. Purchasing those not only expands your collection, but makes room for us to expand ours. All the links for everything are down in the description. Until next time, stay safe, and as always, thanks for watching.